Canada 2, USMNT 1. We are just a few hours out of the game from this weekend in Kansas City. And a lot of people, and rightly so, I get it, are upset at the performance of this team and how the players came out on a competitive level to what was a kind of rivalry game with Canada, and on the heels of a few interviews that Jesse Marsh has been on this week. Not necessarily taking shots specifically at the players, although there might be a couple comments directed at the players, especially the one that players that supported Greg Berhalter are finally talking about the team needs to move on from him. A little dig there. But I think everybody that's getting like overly upset at the outcome yesterday, we're losing sight of the nuance and the perspective of kind of what's going on. Now, if we are holding this particular team accountable to the level to which we want them to be at, absolutely. Doesn't matter if Greg Berhalter, Pochettino, whoever's here, not here, they come out looking like they did. As fans, we can be a little upset about it. But we already know that we're not that team. We're not that team that we had hoped for that we had. And we've never really have shown that we've been that team. The team that has the type of player leadership that through adverse conditions, this team can really kind of rally around each other, and you have guys that get in there and make sure that, hey, we don't need the coaches to pick us up, drag us across the finish line. We can handle this ourselves. We don't have those type of players. And what we saw yesterday, people are saying, well, what can we gain out of what we saw yesterday? Well, there's a few things that we've known, and this is just another sign that, for example, we don't have that player leadership that can really get on a field level and pull these guys up and say, what's going on here? And be the rallying point to get things turned around. This isn't a team of players that do well under adversity. We've seen that several games, big, tight games. Have they won some big games? Yeah, sure. If we're going to throw in the Mexico games, sure. But the big games that we're looking at are ones to where they should be getting up for. There's just a general lack of leadership. And I think even from the top down when Greg was here, and you saw that again with the red flag for me, even just recently, would be the Colombia game heading into Copa. You're getting ready to play a team that legitimately could win the tournament with actual world-class players. And you can't get yourself up to play that game. That's your first major big tune-up. And not only are you not prepared to play, you kind of give up in the middle of the game. And we kind of moved on from that, had a better game with Brazil afterwards. But there should be no reason why, when you're playing a team like Colombia, that you're not ready to want to showcase and battle. That was a big flag that this particular team just doesn't have those players. Not that we don't have talented players, we do. But there's something to be said about having that type of leadership within the player pool, within the roster. And what we can look at from yesterday's game with Canada is that of the players that were here, we can't really analyze as of this weekend the ones that were not here. Tyler Adams, Wes McKinney, Weah, Robinson. Definitely players that would have an impact for this particular team, whether they've looked good or not on this team recently or their club team. But those that have a big factor with this team. We can only look at the players that we have that were here. And of those players, that type of leadership is just not here part of this team. So is that kind of a sideswipe knock at somebody like Christian Pulisic? It's just not in the makeup of what he brings to the team. Arguably, probably our most talented player, most successful right now. No questions whatsoever. Had a fantastic season last year with Milan. But Pulisic isn't that type of player that is a rallying point for the team. He's had moments that people rally around. World Cup, hospital with the goal. That was a moment that we could all kind of rally or look at, going all out for that goal. That's a rallying point. That's different from being somebody that can rally your troops, rally the players around you. We don't have that person. And especially that person, whoever it may be, if possibly they're on the team, they're just not here, or they're injured a lot. That person is not here. So that's something and we're going to assume Pochettino, the deal is still, it's trying to be finalized. We're just days away. We keep saying this, days away. Those are things that he's going to be able to identify. And maybe he can coach up a few of the players that are on this team that can be those types of leaders outside of the coaching staff. That's not a bad thing. Some people just aren't made to be those type of players, those type of leaders. And sometimes those type of players, those type of people, we've all met them in our lives. They have that potential in them, but sometimes, especially at a younger age, they need an older kind of mentor to help coax some of that stuff out, to get them to become a leader. Some, it's just kind of natural and it just happens. I think a lot of people refer to Tyler Adams, that even at a young age, he had that, the ability to be that kind of leader. And unfortunately for Tyler, injury has really kept him away from the team in the last couple of years. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that we don't have and that it's not working right now. But we don't have a coach. There's no coach. There is nobody to lead this rudderless ship. It's coming. And that's why we have to kind of put things into perspective of the lame duck window that we're in. And I know we're going to have people that say, well, these are professional athletes. They should be. I get it. I get it. Should. But we don't. And we know that. And so to get upset at what happened yesterday with Canada, out of the context of what's going on. You could be upset about it. I'm just surprised at the amount of anger and freaking out when we all know Pochettino is not here yet. Is he going to be the answer to everything? Who knows? I have no idea. Most likely not, as far as being the answer for everything, all the problems that we have. But to be this upset, and again, so many new accounts that hit my feed, and I'm like, oh, they do a soccer show. Oh, they're super angry. And then, oh, here's the regular group of soccer shows. That it's the same kind of negativity. And look, I can go and be just as negative as anybody on this team. But I kind of thought that we all knew going into this window, if Pochettino's not here yet, I don't know, even in real life, when you work at a job or corporation or something, we've all been there, where somebody at a level above us is not there anymore, leaves for whatever reason. There's no leadership. People tend to kind of take off a little bit. When the cat's away, the mice will play. You know what I'm saying? And that's just also where it's evident that when the cat's away, there's no other mice to keep the other mice kind of working. That's just not how that we're not built that way, because we don't have those personalities, or we don't have them developed yet, or they're not here, physically here. And another kind of just a weird trend that I'm seeing, and especially from the guys we all kind of know, we all kind of watch the same content for USMNT. They're also upset at the people that are not upset, like calling people out for being upset. They're upset at those people. We get it. If Pochettino was here and this kind of happened, I think there would be bigger problems. As far as if Pochettino was here and that's what we saw rolled out effort-wise, gameplay, all that. If Pochettino was here, then that's what is it called, a red herring or something? That's a big warning sign that, oh my God, this is what Pochettino's rolling out. Not that he hasn't fixed everything within the few days he's been here. Well, I just had a coughing fit in the middle of my tirade. I had to stop there for a second. Luckily, we've got a nice little pause feature here on StreamYard. But the kind of this outrage that's out there right now is as if this was the last window heading into World Cup 2026. And we've all been pointing at 2026, and we're less than 2 years away. We get it. We all know that. But the coach who's supposed to be here for World Cup 2026 is not here yet. So that's all I'm just saying. This window is just a lame duck window. Let's try to get out what we can out of it. One thing for me is, are we giving any credit to Mikey Veras in starting Patrick Schulte at keeper? I think that's an indication that the goalkeeper problem that we are in the middle of, with Turner, Horvath, again, good kids. I mean, nothing about, we hate to get on to the kids, but that's not, there's an issue. good kids. I mean, they're young men. But the fact that we saw them put Patrick Schulte out there is a good sign that, yes, that is something that has been identified, and it's time to let's see what some of these younger kids can do with the crest, with a little bit more pressure on them. Now, just because we lose 2-1 and the game didn't go our way, are we saying, well, obviously Schulte's not it? That's not the case at all. And that's not how the players are evaluated. We know that. Pochettino, when he's going to go over some of the game film or whatever, just to kind of take a look and see as he evaluates players, he's going to look to see, did Schulte show signs of a high-end goalkeeper that could be the U.S.'s number one? From what I saw, absolutely. Were there some mistakes? Sure. But that tends to happen when you have a team in front of you that's not playing very good. So if you're a big fan of Patrick Schulte, like I am, and you're wanting to see him get his chance to see what he can do, not just give it to him, but to see, are you better than Turner and Horvath? I think there were glimpses of there's potential here. So I'll be curious to see what Pochettino and his coaching staff, how they view it, how they rate it. Is he in the mix still going forward? Or were there things that they saw that they're like, there's enough here to show that he's not at that level that we need as a U.S. number one? I think that was a good sign that they gave him the start this weekend. It'll be interesting to see in a few days who gets the next one. It was kind of odd that we took 4, but okay. But there's going to be a few different things that we can take out of this window. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can be like, none of us are going to remember once they announce Pochettino and he's there rocking a U.S. polo. Or whatever he's going to end up wearing. Be nice if he starts rocking some nicer suits and stuff on the sidelines. You know, bring a little football world-class designer suits or something. Who knows? But all I'm saying is, let's just, with this particular window, there's going to be some ugly things that we're going to see, and there's going to be some problems that reoccur or look even worse. But Daddy Poch is not here yet. There's no leadership on the field. Not a knock on the players. That person's just not here. Or that person's not yet a leader yet. But Pochettino will get things cleaned up a little bit. Get this team a direction, an identity. You have to break the old identity down. You have to break a lot of some bad things from before just to change things up. And it's going to happen. But that person's not here yet. So let's take a look at some of the depth at all of the positions while we have that ability this window. And don't forget, players that create depth aren't necessarily the players that are going to carry a team. Maybe some of these guys that are out there right now aren't looking the best, but those aren't going to be the roles that we need them to fulfill. Let's see how this team is all together with an actual leader, with Pochettino, then let's see how things start to look in those windows. This team absolutely is going to look different and play different when you have Weah, McKinney when he's playing well, Robinson, Tyler Adams, and then a coach. And then you backfill with some of the other players that we're kind of seeing that can fill in some depth roles. Or in the next 2 years, push some of these starters to where now a lot of people are looking over their shoulders. That would be a good situation. Congratulations to Canada and Marsh. They're having a good run right now. This is good for U.S. soccer. Don't forget, I guess I'm in the minority, but when Canada and Mexico, and we're still waiting for Mexico, but when Canada and Mexico are doing well and competing and raising the bar, that's a good thing for the U.S. team. Right? Because the higher those other two rivals push that bar, it forces us and it forces U.S. soccer to have to improve the product. And we've been kind of caught in Mexico has been the worst generational. I'll get it out. Generational worst talent ever. And we've been hanging our hats on the fact that we have dominated Mexico. Gives us a false sense that we're doing something good. And you do have to give some credit into, hey, in the end, you are dominating Mexico. But again, you have to put that into perspective also. So now we have to hope that Canada is really going to take it and go that extra couple steps, go that extra mile. Jesse Marsh is going to make them a better team. Maybe they're the ones talked about as being the top of CONCACAF and the team that's going to be hosting the World Cup to watch for. That's good for the U.S. team to maybe be even slighted a bit. Because I know that we've talked a little bit about, we have the U.S. guys, the U.S. players kind of have this swagger about them. For almost no apparent reason, they earned it, but they have this swagger that they've accomplished something. I mean, aside from the fact that they're playing on teams overseas, they're playing on clubs overseas. And when I say playing, we put that into quotation marks. But they have this swagger that they're all doing something overseas, and that's not the case. So maybe they need to take a little bit of a hit to the ego that'll kind of light a little bit of a fuse to get things going as well. I think let's get Pochettino in. Let's see how things go over the next 6 months to a year, and then we can start to get back to being overly negative, doomsdayers. But this particular one, it's a lame duck window. Let's take what we can out of it. And I guarantee you the second Pochettino, that thing is really, really done. Not just done like we all got on here super excited weeks ago. It's a done deal. We're talking really done. It's a whole new vibe. we're all going to be excited and happy, and we're going to forget a lot of this stuff that's going on here with the loss to Canada. It's going to be fine. Just relax for a few more days. Can we do that? Can we relax for a few